Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way anyone beats him! Your Fortnite World Champion, Booga!
The event you're looking at right now has more spectators than the NFL. But instead of a traditional sport, this is a Fortnite World Cup. Yeah, that Fortnite.
Your world champion, Booga!
And the kid you're looking at right here, he walked home $3 million richer. His name is Kyle Booga Giersdorf, and at 16 years old, he won the solo Fortnite finale, turning him into an instant millionaire and an overnight celebrity. $3 million. That's drop everything and retire right now kind of money for a 16-year-old gamer.
Congratulations on winning. This is the trophy right here. Do you mind if I bring it up?
That's good.
Wow, it's actually really heavy. Look at this.
Set right there.
But today, he still plays Fortnite 6 hours every day and is signed to an esports organization called the Sentinels. Today, becoming a millionaire from playing video games isn't just a reality, it's becoming more and more commonplace. Why is that so? Because gaming culture has become the new pop culture. You can't be a kid and not play Fortnite. And with more than 2.4 billion gamers around the world, it's a cultural force unlike anything we've experienced since the creation of TV.
Competitive video gaming has become a multi-million-dollar industry, but as Errol Barnett learned, embarking on an esports career comes with plenty of risks.
It's been a big year for esports, yes, with championships for titles like Fortnite and Dota amassing record price pools as the industry continues to take the world by storm.
This is a bigger new industry than marijuana.
Absolutely.
And that's why the gaming industry is now bigger than film, music, the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB combined. And being that when you mention gaming to the average person, they imagine none of this, that means that it's only gonna go up from here. Hollywood and every sports league out there should be trembling right now. This is the insane growth of esports and electronic athletes, part of a series on our channel we're gonna start calling New Money. A lot goes into the esports industry. You have all the digital and physical infrastructure to make these giant esports competition spectacles happen, you need esports teams to support esports players, and you need all the actual gaming equipment. That's where ESE Entertainment comes in, today's video sponsor. ESE is a publicly traded esports company on the TSX Venture Exchange in Canada, trading under the ticker symbol ESE. They own professional esports teams like Kick Esports, e-commerce sites like digitalmotorsports.com that sell sim racing rigs, and they help with the infrastructure for esports events and more. Stick to the end to learn more, or stop what you're doing right now, pause the video, and click the link in the video description to learn more about ESE now. Paid athletes are nothing new. Some of the highest paid athletes like Conor McGregor, Lionel Messi are worth millions and make over $100 million a year from their salaries, bonuses, sponsorships, and other naming rights. But it wasn't always like that. In the late 19th century, some of the most famous soccer players around were also full-time coal miners. So what changed? When did athletes get so rich? It all started with the introduction of the television in the 50s. It freed sports from being watched by a few thousand people in a stadium to being watched by millions of people on a screen. And it didn't take long for athletes to start capitalizing on this exposure. Just a few decades later, athletes like Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan were making millions every year. Pro athletes became legends. And sports like football and basketball brought with it an almost cult-like following of die-hard fans. And then came the rise of video games and the advent of the gamer. The very first video game patent on record was in 1948 for a missile simulator game, based on the radars used in World War II. This invention gave rise to the creation of classes like OXO, Tennis for Two, and Space Wars, all which were made in labs and never really available to the public. Ralph Baer, the father of video games, was the first person to bring video games to the home with the release of a console called Odyssey that allowed you to play these games on your TV. Around the same time, Atari was born. These early video game consoles led to the creation of arcade games like Space Invaders and Pac-Man. Both games recorded high scores and are often seen as the earliest forms of esports, the esports Big Bang if you will. Even though arcade games were popular and addictive, the real change came when companies like Nintendo, Microsoft, and PlayStation revolutionized gaming with the creation of DVD consoles. This paved the way for the style of video games we all know today. As the gaming industry slowly evolved and matured, it brought with it the emergence of the first ever pro gamers and esports events. In 1985, Billy Mitchell was listed in the Guinness Book of World Records for having high scores on 6 arcade games. He was probably the closest thing to a 1980s pro gamer. The popularity of games like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man also led to the very first esports events, in the form of head-to-head arcade competitions like StarCade. Sure, there were video game tournaments out there, but only a few people knew about them or cared about them. Then in 1997, something insanely unbelievable happened, at least for that time. A student named Dennis Thresh Fong, the world's first genuine professional video gamer, won a Quake tournament with a prize of $5,000 and a Ferrari 328 GTS, owned by the software legend John Carmack. His win put esports on the map.
What do you think about the future of a professional gaming league? I mean, is there merit to this? Is there going to be a professional sport, a big thing in America, you think?
I think sometime in the future. I mean, I think the timing-wise, we don't really know exactly when it's going to happen, but I think a lot of us gamers know that it will happen sometime. Mm-hmm. But I think really what's really holding back gaming right now is, I mean, there's a technological side to it, but I think really it's probably more cultural. Mm-hmm. In that gaming, I think in the past was not really a cool thing to do or talk about, you know?
Not at all. It was the thing that the nerds did.
Exactly. But I think more recently with the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and, you know, a lot of these future things, in the rock stars, I mean, everyone's talking about playing games now.
Absolutely.
I think it's really changing the perception of what people have about games and gamers. And I think as that perception changes, I think, you know, professional gaming will grow into something really big.
And people were slowly starting to pay attention to the way video games, usually reserved for kids with braces and thick glasses sitting in their parents' basements, were turning players into celebrities. Powered by the momentum of cult-like fans and followers, gaming and consoles continued to evolve. And the popularity of esports slowly rose until 2011, when the launch of a new platform called Twitch changed the game forever. For those unacquainted, Twitch is kinda like YouTube but for gamers. It lets people stream their gameplay and their reactions as they play. But the idea behind Twitch started out very differently from what it is today. The platform was originally called Justin.tv, and it started gaining popularity when one of the founders, Justin Kan, decided that it would be a good idea to strap a camera to his head and stream every minute of his day to the internet. At one point, he got doxxed and swatted live on camera.
No, I did not call.
The idea of live streaming caught on and people from all over the world started streaming videos of them working, dancing, or just existing on the site. People also used Justin.tv to illegally stream sports matches, which led to lawsuit after lawsuit. Viewership eventually started dropping off except for one segment, gaming. So the founders cut their losses and turned their focus to making game streaming the very best it could be. They added gamer-friendly features, recruited gamers to stream on the sites, and rebranded it as Twitch TV. By February 2014, Twitch was the 4th largest source of internet peak traffic in the US. And in August that same year, the founders sold Twitch to Amazon for a mind-blowing $974 million, a nearly billion-dollar acquisition. Today, Twitch is so much more than just a streaming platform. It's a source of income for a lot of popular gamers, it's where gamers go to chat with like-minded people, and it's helped launch the career of hundreds of pro gamers, like that Kyle kid that we spoke about earlier who won $3 million, and now has more than 4.7 million followers on Twitch. Twitch has more than 15 million daily active users, and also partners with companies like Blizzard and Overwatch to host worldwide esports events, turning streaming into an in-person spectacle and giving millions of people around the world a chance to be spectators.
Can you tell us about how Twitch, the advent of Twitch and YouTube really changed the game for the esports industry?
It was just the biggest growth catalyst for them. It's equivalent to when traditional sports had the opportunity to broadcast live sports. I mean, it was literally like a light bulb switch for the industry, and it allowed those communities to grow, not just locally, but globally. And it allowed people around the world to play with each other, play against each other. And it just accelerated this industry in a supersonic fashion.
Just like how TV changed the game for traditional athletes, where the eyeballs are, the money follows. The huge viewership Twitch brought to gaming was the fuel that helped esports and its revenues explode. Over the decades, there were a couple of competitions that looked a lot like the esports tournaments we know now. The Space Invaders Championship, hosted by Atari in 1980, attracted more than 10,000 participants all around the US. Starcade episodes aired on US television, and the Nintendo World Championships was one of the biggest esports events of the 90s. But none of these events could quite live up to what esports has become today. Esports championships like League of Legends sold out Madison Square Garden and the Staples Center in minutes.
Can you tell us about those patterns you saw between, traditional sports and esports that you just mentioned?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's actually funny because now at the highest level with pro esports athletes. They're literally in world-class training facilities. They're playing in front of 50, 60,000 people. Media rights, sponsorship, even little things. They have their own apparel. They have their own jerseys and their own contracts with these big apparel companies. So literally all the way down from A to Z. It's basically identical, just they're on the digital side and we are playing live sports.
And it's not just diehard gaming fans who are noticing the rise of esports. The Philadelphia 76ers bought the esports team Dignitas in 2016. Members of the 5 teams that make up Dignitas are treated like NBA athletes and have access to nutritionists, medical checkups, and gyms.
So these pro gamers, do they train like actual athletes? Do they have like coaches and training routines, etc.?
Our headquarters in Warsaw, Poland, in Europe, there's a facility called the Esports Performance Center, and they literally have chefs on site, personal trainers on site, gyms, a whole hotel room where the athletes stay and sleep. So and the whole facility is completely decked out, state of the art, screens and equipment everywhere for them to really accelerate their growth as a player.
And they're not alone. Other traditional sports team owners like those of the LA Rams, Patriots, Mets, and Philadelphia Flyers are all riding the wave of esports as their popularity starts rivaling sport institutions like the NHL and NBA. Some of the biggest championships out there have prize pools in the millions. The International 9 Dota Championships had $34.3 million in prize money. The 2019 Fortnite World Cup, $30.4 million. And every participant in the competition was guaranteed to go home with at least $50,000. Not bad for a hobby most parents hate. And with it comes a new age of young millionaires. Ninja, whose real name is Richard Blevins, is the richest gamer in the world and is worth around $17 million. PewDiePie is worth at least $15 million. And Preston, another YouTuber gamer, has a net worth of around $14 million. And as fans, sports teams, and gamers are realizing what they're worth, so are investors. With more than 1,860 billion minutes watched on Twitch every year, and esports revenues entering the billions, investors and sponsors are dumping cash into the industry in hopes of capitalizing on some serious monetization opportunities like advertising, event hosting, media rights, and sponsorships. There's no doubt that esports are the next big thing, and could potentially overtake sport and TV culture as we know it. But the question I've never been able to answer is, why would someone want to watch someone play video games? Why would someone watch gamers when they can be playing themselves?
I personally never enjoyed watching other people play sports in general. So can you explain why? Like, what's the incentive? Like, why do people enjoy it?
That's the unique part. People aren't just watching the pro esports players or the pro gamers. They're watching a huge variety of gamers, casual all the way up to pro. Why? Because it's the same reason we watch pro sports, the entertainment, the emotion, but more so now with esports and gaming, the community aspect. They feel a part of something, and you could really pick and choose what type of person you want to watch or what type of community you want to be a part of, versus something like the NFL. It's basically like a flat type of environment that you don't have a choice, right? It's just one product, or the NBA, it's one product. But in gaming, the variability between even games is unbelievable, right? So League of Legends, you could watch a pro all the way down to an amateur, someone who's funny versus someone who's serious. I think that's the appealing part for the masses.
A lot of the psychology behind watching other people play video games is based on video game culture and the idea of brain mimicry. Psychologists believe that just like sports fans, gaming spectators have mirror neurons in their brain fire up whenever they watch someone else play. This means that each spectator is going through the same roller coaster of emotion sports fans experience as their teams hit highs and lows during their match. In short, watching makes you feel as if you're actually playing. And just like sports, esports taps into our very tribal nature. But for a lot of gamers, it's much more than that. Some people watch others play to become better at their own games and to learn new tactics. Others watch because they can interact with like-minded people or get a chance to talk to their favorite gamers. And the number one reason for watching? To release tension. Video games offer a form of escapism, and watching someone else play takes away a lot of the tension you feel as if you were playing yourself. And for the most part, this is all a net positive, besides all the wasted time in my opinion. People are gonna play video games anyways, so the gaming industry offers a way to monetize what you already love doing. But like any industry, it has a dark side. As the stakes go up in esports, it's opened the door for a lot of negativity. Some players get addicted to drugs like Ritalin or Adderall that initially help them stay awake for training and improve their reaction time. Others are expected to train 16 hours a day, eventually making them burn out. All that pressure can have catastrophic effects on gamers' mental health. And it's not just the players that are suffering. Because of the nature of launching new video games, the seasonality of it makes a lot of companies lay off their employees every cycle. Gamers are pretty demanding. We want new games with better graphics, more skins, more weapons, less bugs, and more content faster. So to accomplish that, employees are known to crunch for 6 to 7 days a week for 14 to 16 hours a day with no overtime. And when the game or update is released, they'll get fired because they're no longer needed. So like any industry, esports has its own set of serious issues. But as the industry matures, people are more aware of the importance of mental health, and developers start unionizing, these things will probably improve over time. But aside from that, the future of esports is looking bright. So can you give us an idea of where the industry is at today? Like what does it look like today, and what do you think it's going to be in 5 to 10 years?
Well, as you guys know, it's massive. It's a booming industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry already. Where do I think it's going in 5 to 10 years? I think it's going to accelerate even faster. Why? Because I think it's going to continue to cross over into other traditional entertainment industries and traditional sports. We already see it now. You mentioned that we have 3D track scanning in our digital motorsport side of the business. It's an integral part of F1 already and a lot of racing sports. We work with FC Barcelona. We work with a lot of the big pro soccer clubs in the world. It's crossing over into NFL, into the NBA. We did an event with Sony. Travis Scott did a big concert with Fortnite. It's just all culminating, right? So this is all kind of a melting pot. And really, as entertainment, as a broader perspective, we're seeing that esports is kind of seeping into all those different aspects. So I think in that 5-10 years, we're going to be heading more into a metaverse type of situation where esports is just entrenched in everything. Think about the future of how everything's integrated. And when you discuss AR, VR, in-game implementations, I don't know if the viewers are familiar, but they should have a look at Travis Scott and his Fortnite concert. These are aspects of the metaverse that are happening now, and they're just going to continue to accelerate. So it allows fans, it allows communities to engage directly in the ecosystem within the game, so that there's no boundaries. So we're all kind of encompassed into this one umbrella called the metaverse.
Has esports viewership passed traditional sports, like any individual traditional sports?
The last Fortnite championship had bigger viewership than the Super Bowl. We've personally done events where they surpassed traditional sports. It's unbelievable. I mean, the Phoenix Suns, they rolled out a NBA 2K tournament during COVID. They had more viewers for the NBA 2K tournament they do at their live stadium. So, I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, nothing will. And I've always lived my life like that. When something's staring you in the face, it's not staring in the face. It's time to really accelerate. So,
yeah. The gaming industry is set to keep exploding over the next few years, and a lot of it has to do with how easy it's becoming to play. Phones keep getting stronger, so right now, mobile games make up more than 50% of global gaming revenue, and that number is just gonna keep climbing. And games like PUBG, Call of Duty all have mobile versions, so it's not hard to imagine a future where more and more video games are adapted to play on smartphones. Another major factor is 5G, which is set to completely rock the gaming world with faster upload speeds, better FPS, and less lag, which is probably gonna lead to people playing more games for even more hours, and streaming services like Twitch becoming even more popular. Cloud gaming will probably keep improving, and one of the most promising developments yet, graphics improvements like Unreal Engine 5 that allows developers to make games basically look like Pixar movies, with almost no lag and a lot less hours than before. Code Fusion has a great video breaking this down that I will link to below. In short, practically every single aspect of gaming is getting better, and one company thriving in the space is ESE Entertainment, who's the sponsor of today's video. ESE is a publicly traded esports company on the TSX Venture Exchange in Canada, trading under the ticker symbol ESE. They've got a few different verticals. They own professional esports teams like Kick Esports, e-commerce sites like digitalmotorsports.com that sell sim racing rigs, and more. They help with the infrastructure side of the esports business and more.
you see those big stadiums, you see those big emotions, the big events, someone has to put those on, right? So when you have big events like that, you need back-end infrastructures, you need production, you need event management, you need social media, you need customer support, fan engagement, all these things that we consider infrastructure. And we really found that these big publishers needed that to execute these large events and to roll out their games into new countries and regions. We thought of it as an even bigger opportunity to implement the production side, the media rights, working directly with the publishers, in addition to doing the social media side. So the parallels between traditional sports and entertainment and esports are just so blatantly obvious that it just kind of hits you in the face. I mean, we saw it coming down the line for so many years, but the opportunities now, and guys like him jumped on that opportunity, and I'm doing the same thing. We're blessed to have one of the oldest esports franchises in Europe. It's called Kick. The founder's Pedro, and he acts as not only the CEO of Kick, but also a coach, and then he hires coaches underneath him to coach specific teams. So League of Legends will have their own coach, FIFA will have their own coach, our Apex team will have their own coach, and he manages, he's more of like a CEO general manager, and he manages those coaches, and then they manage the players.
To learn more about ESE Entertainment, pause the video and click the link in the video description below. Whether you've been a gamer from the start, or if this is your first time hearing that video games are considered a sport, you can't deny that we're on the brink of a completely new age of social connection and entertainment. Just like traditional athletes, electronic athletes are finally getting into the public spotlight. And who knows, maybe one day these gamers will take the place or at least share the stage with the LeBron James, the Stephen Currys, and the Michael Jordans of traditional sports.
And GG is called. Your champions are OG. No tales like these in this 1-3, mate.
When I was a kid, I was so good at Battlefield 3. It was the game for me, and I wasted many hours on it, always at the top of the leaderboard, but for some reason, they didn't have a big esports scene around Battlefield 3, which I'm still pretty salty about. These days, I mainly play Call of Duty Modern Warfare because I really like modern day shooters. Not a big fan of Cold War, probably not going to be a fan of Vanguard. On a side note, I really don't understand why they didn't just reskin Modern Warfare for Cold War, because the gameplay and the animations and the feel of everything in Cold War really sucks. But enough ranting. What is your relationship with video games? Do you play? What do you play? Are you into esports? Let me know in the comments below. You can check out ESE Entertainment, the sponsor of today's video, with the link below. If you're new here, we make video essays just like this one every single week on the most provocative stuff in the world of business, just like this one, all for free, mind you. So subscribe with the button below, and you can always dislike, unsubscribe, and leave me your best hate comments in the comments below. So there's only upside on this free investment. You can follow me on Instagram at jaketran.io for more behind the scenes stuff, day in the life kind of stuff. jaketran.io, we have a good time over there. And that is gonna wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome. I've been Jake. Stay dangerous out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.